Boxes to Builds 02. See right up there? Boxes to Builds 02. And it's coming from Kentucky. Now, this Boxes to Builds series in 2022 is a little different than they have been in the past. What we're going to do is we're going to open this box, and based on what we find in here and the things that they ask, then we pick the topic, so it's kind of a surprise you and I together. Yes, I know from a planning standpoint, you really ought to have the topic picked out, blah, blah, blah. But where's the fun in that, right? It's the same thing. You're seeing what I'm seeing, and you can build right along with me and find out good stuff about club making. So if you want to know about club making, club fitting, like and subscribe, hit that bell, make sure that you get all those things taken care of so you get more of these videos when they drop. If you decide that you really want to talk golf or either want to talk about fittings, repairs, opinions, golf equipment, whatever, visit us Mondays, 17:30 or 5:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook, right? We do a Facebook Live together with that one. And we'll just talk for an hour, a little over that, from people from all over the world. Talk with me, 6-time Golf Digest Top 100 and a International Club Maker of the Year. All right, so let's get to opening. All right, we got the triangular box this time. If it's a triangle, can it really be called a box? You know, there's a question for you. Can it be really called a box if you're a triangle? Huh? You better believe it. Yeah, I got a peanut gallery out there too. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. Oh, there we got. All right, we got some Project X 5.0s. And these are older Project X 5.0s. Why? Because I can tell by the label. They appear to be a shaft pull. You can tell by the already sanded down, and there's still some glue in there. All right, what else we got in there? We got more paper, which I imagine was wrapping up some stuff. All right, let's do this. All right, what do we got here? All right, we got some CP2 wrap jumbos. Very good grip, very popular. All right, let's get rid of all the packaging again. Oh, that's one way of putting them all together. Like the world's biggest rubber band. Oh, no, several rubber bands. All right. Yep. There we go. PXGs. All right, PXGs. Which ones? The 211 ST, 3x Forged STs. All right. 7, 8, 9. Picking them out good. A wedge. A 4, a 6, and a 5. Okay, so now we know what we got. Let's see how we got to build them. All right, so when you get stuff from people, you in order to make your build proper, you have to have a starting plane. And the starting plane is that the clubs are all clean, they're cleaned out, right? And that includes the hosels. Hosels, there's no dirt on it, that the ends of the shafts, you know, if you get them in their shaft pulls, like this one here is, that all the goo is taken out. Because the whole idea of having an empty tube, so to speak, or the shaft, is so that the air can escape when you go to put them together, and the glue is there, so it has air to escape. If it doesn't, it has this back pressure, and it's going to want to push the head off. That's not good, right? We don't want any of that. So you have to clean all that stuff out. Then you want to do the weighing. The weighing, again, I stress this quite a bit, is that you want to make sure you don't have anything that is basically way out of range, right? If you're way out of range, then you need to stop and talk to the people that want you to build this, thinking that they're going to get this perfectly aligned set. And sometimes that just can't happen, okay? So now, what did we find out? I've weighed all these, you know, and the heads seem to be in very good shape. I think they're just a little bit light, but that's just the way the newer heads have been weighing. So it's kind of a new standard, we'll say like that. The shafts were it's kind of unique because they're you cut to length already, right? They're cut to length already, which kind of makes you think about this because it started out at 107 at the top and ended at 100 at the bottom. So there's a 7 gram difference. So it's less than a swing weight point in weight. However, it makes you think. You've always had this question is how much does one affect the other? If these all have stayed the same and they are, you know, you tipped off, they're tipped properly and you cut off more of the butt, which one weighs more? Which one weighs more? You know, this would think that the back end of this thing would weigh more in this particular profile. Maybe, maybe not. Now, and the grips. Golf Pride did very, very well again in that they were inside of a gram's difference from the mid 79s to the very low 180 or to the low 80s. So less than a gram. You know, that's awesome. Even if it was a gram, it'd still be awesome. But what makes these guys different? And again, I've done plenty of PXG builds, and if I can get them up there, it'll be in one of the corners here for a card. However, if you look inside this guy, you can see there's a shoulder in there, right? Right in there. There's a shoulder in there, and it's deep, right? It's very, very deep. So it takes a special ferrule. It takes one of those. Right? It takes one of those. Now, why is this so special? Well, this collared area, it's deeper, all right? It's deeper, and it fits right in there, so you get that. I tend to call these, instead of just collared ferrules, I tend to call these guys centering ferrules. And the idea, because when you do PXGs, the opening gets bigger, and they tend to wobble around. Hence, I'll show you. I'll just grab one. That's the 6, 1, 2, 3, 6. So you put this in here on my nicely new finish that I've done. It's all drilled out, and you saw me clean. It's all clean. You get in here, and you see that? That's a lot of wobble. All right, you put this guy in there. All of a sudden, it's not wobbling anymore. That's what happens, okay? Now, there's two different ones. The pro tip right here. Pro tip. That if you get the taper tipped, there's a little plug that goes on the end of these guys so that they fit into the bottom better, all right? This one fits in there pretty good, so I don't need that. This is actually kind of in between. It's not quite a three or a taper tip and not quite the other one. So we're in the middle. So I'm going with 370. So when we got these, there was some gunk on the ends, and these weren't, you know, they were just pulls, and that's what happens. And so we finished these. And what I mean by finishing them is I used my other 1x42 sanding belt with an actual sanding grit on it, and we gave it a fresh look. And then what I tend to do is I'll heat up the tip just ever so slightly, about 5 to 8 seconds. I'll run a drill down in there, particularly if you can see the end of it like we saw on some of them. And we got to get rid of that glue. And depending on who makes it, what a lot of OEMs will do is they'll just fill up the hosel and they'll just put it in there, and then it goes up into the shaft, whatever. And then I've got to clean that out, and that's what happened. I ended up ruining a brush cleaning out all the stuff. So now they're ready to rock and roll. So now we have everything that we want to do. The only real problem is now we thought we were getting instructions, and we did not. And so now I have to see whether or not this golfer is logo sensitive. And what I mean by that, and we're going to start asking, is that when these come on here, this may not be the spot that they belong, right? Sometimes you'll want them underneath, sometimes you want them, they may end up in different areas, and some people don't like that, right? In fact, this one's got a bit of a wrinkle in it. So we're going to have to see what the golfer wants to do. So we're kind of at a standstill right now. in order to do that. And that's just part of putting these together. So the topic, what you need to do to get started to make a build. So we've done all that. We've got everything on the same planet. Now let's wait and see what we have to do. So we made contact with a golfer for the PXGs and the Project X clubs. Now, what I did in order to get everything back to, we'll call it even, just like we were talking about before, was we had to drill out all the shafts, had to drill out all the heads, I had to drill out the insides of it, and we did all that. And what we ran into is I didn't know if the golfer was logo sensitive, meaning do they have to be in a certain orientation, because some golfers out there are like that, right? And we forgot to ask. So we finally got the answer. Answer was no, so I spine and float them. We've got them together using the centering ferrules, and they're up there drying right now, even as we speak. Now, what's going to be the topic other than getting ready? We're going to do some finishing techniques on this one. Since we started at the beginning, let's do something at the end. So right now what we have them is they're drying right now, so when they get done drying, then we will get started on yet another topic in the Boxes to Builds going to Kentucky. We're down to the last part. Now I know it's not gonna, this wasn't like super technology stuff for you guys, but the overlying thing in here is you've really got to know what you're working with in order to know what you're going to get. And I cannot stress that enough, particularly when when you send them to me and they're like this. This is a PXG, right? PXG 0211 ST. And it's superior performance or something like that. It is a triple forged club that is made out of an 8620 single piece of steel. So this is truly a forged club. Now they claim high MOI in the head, but low MOI above the head for workability. I'm not so sure how that works out. I mean, their MOI in a golf, there's like 1,000 points of MOI on a golf club. However, what we had to put in there were some very old school Project X shafts. Now, how do I know they're old school? I can tell by the label. Now, and I can also tell that they're like a second or third generation because they're chrome. All right, the original ones were actually more of a satiny finish. And if they were original, they would really be old. So we're doing that, and they got them in the 5.0. Now, back in the days of the 5.0, when this thing was made, that was the beginning of stiff range, and these things are very stout. The Project X is a no joke shaft. You better be able to bring it around. And we ended up putting some jumbo grips, some CP2 jumbo grips on them. Now, in between this, what did I do? Well, you saw. We measured everything. I do that in everything. Now, in this particular case, the insides of the shaft and the outsides were really nasty. So I cleaned up the outside so we had a good tip section, and then I drilled out and cleaned out the inside because there was a significant amount of stuff in there. Had I not taken that out, that could have caused a rattle. That could have thrown off swing weight radically, okay, a bunch. And then on the heads were in pretty good shape, but I wanted them to look a little bit better. So we cleaned them up because there was a lot of junk on them. And then I put them on my wheel and I cleaned them up, right? I cleaned them up pretty good. And so so they look really good. They're very close to new. We use the PXG ferrule, the centering ferrule. Life's good. All right, we're really happy with that. Got them all put together. Had Mrs. McGolf put the grips on. Well, I went to another project. She got all the grips on, and then I started bending. And the golfer wanted standard loft and lies per the spec. So that's what he got. Now, all these, what I had here, all of them were at least 3 degrees strong. So it probably would have never gotten out of the air had we not done that. So they're all bent to the spec. The lies are all good. Everything's good. Did a swing weight check, and it's ascending weight, meaning it's light at the fore, and it gets slightly heavier as it goes to the wedge. I kind of like that, right? I do. I kind of like that. So we have them all together. So now they have and that's what we got when we get a set from somewhere, right? When you guys send me stuff, this is how we go about, taking them apart, putting them together, checking them, making sure it all happens. When you're doing this, the same thing should occur, even if you have new parts. Check out your gear, check, at least weigh, so that you have at least some way of segregating the other parts and knowing whether or not you might have a problem in your build. All right, if you get outside your depth on this one and you're really not sure, you can just send them to me. Ask some questions in the show notes, okay? Ask some questions in the show notes. Now what you're going to see here in just a little bit is a circle with McGolf symbol on it, and that's to subscribe. Please like, subscribe the video. Down here is going to be a square, another video from McGolf on other club making topics. Please check it out if it's, if it fits for what you're doing. We also have live stream on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and we talk golf gear there, golf fittings, golf repairs, anything you want, and from people from around the world. Join us. You'll see. Have a good time. And as always, let's see your scores go low.